The choices you make today are shaping your tomorrow. Are you making choices that move you forward, or are you stuck in patterns that hold you back? Let me ask you something. When was the last time you truly took responsibility for where you are in life? Most people walking this earth are living lives of quiet desperation because they've never understood one fundamental truth: you are not broken. You're just following the wrong path. And the beautiful thing about paths is that you can change them at any moment you decide. Look at the person sitting next to you. That person has dreams just like you do. That person has fears just like you do. But what separates those who achieve greatness from those who remain ordinary isn't talent or luck. It's taking absolute responsibility for their lives. I remember meeting a young man named Robert. Robert came from nothing. His father left when he was 3. His mother worked 3 jobs to keep food on the table. By all accounts, Robert should have been another statistic, another person who blamed circumstances for his failures. But Robert understood something profound at an early age that many never grasped. No one was coming to save him. When Robert was 16, he made a decision that changed everything. Instead of complaining about what he didn't have, he started focusing on what he could control. He began waking up at 5 a.m. every morning to study before school. He found odd jobs on weekends. He saved every penny. Was it easy? Of course not. There were mornings when his bed felt too comfortable, when his friends were out having fun while he was working. But Robert understood that temporary discomfort leads to long-term freedom. Today, Robert owns 3 successful businesses and employs over 200 people. When I asked him what made the difference, he said, "I stopped seeing myself as a victim of my circumstances and started seeing myself as the architect of my future." That's what I'm talking about. Personal responsibility. It's the foundation upon which all success is built. And yet most people spend their entire lives running from it. They blame the economy, their spouse, their boss, their parents. They blame everything except the one thing they can actually change themselves. What would happen if, just for today, you took complete responsibility for every aspect of your life? What would change if you stopped saying "I can't" and started asking "How can I?" The fact is, we all face adversity. We all have limitations. We all have obstacles in our way. But successful people don't use these as excuses. They use them as fuel. They don't say "I can't succeed because of these obstacles." They say "I will succeed despite these obstacles." You see, life is not happening to you. It's responding to you. Your outer world is nothing but a reflection of your inner world. If you want to change your results, you must first change yourself. Think about it this way. If you plant tomato seeds, you get tomato plants. If you plant apple seeds, you get apple trees. This is the law of the harvest. It's consistent, it's reliable, it's predictable, and it applies to every area of your life. What you sow, you reap, every single time. Are you planting seeds of discipline, hard work, and perseverance? Or are you planting seeds of laziness, excuses, and blame? Because I promise you this, whatever seeds you're planting today will grow into the harvest you'll reap tomorrow. Now here's something most people miss. Life operates in patterns and cycles. Just like the seasons, there are times for planting and times for harvesting. There are winter seasons when nothing seems to be happening. There are spring seasons of new growth. There are summer seasons of abundance. And there are fall seasons when it's time to gather what you've grown. The problem is, most people quit during the winter season. They plant their seeds, but when they don't see immediate results, they give up. They don't understand that there's always a gap between planting and harvesting. Always. That gap is called time, and it requires patience. How many opportunities have you missed because you weren't patient enough? How many seeds have you planted only to dig them up before they had time to grow? I want you to understand something. Success is never a straight line. It's filled with ups and downs, twists and turns. There will be days when you feel like you're making tremendous progress, and there will be days when you feel like you're going backward. That's normal. That's part of the process. The key is to recognize these patterns and adjust your expectations accordingly. When you're in a winter season, focus on preparation. When you're in a spring season, focus on growth. When you're in a summer season, focus on maximizing your opportunities. And when you're in a fall season, focus on gratitude for what you've harvested. Understanding these natural cycles gives you power. It helps you maintain perspective when things get tough. It reminds you that no season, good or bad, lasts forever. Let me tell you about my friend Sarah. Sarah built a successful business over 10 years. only to see it all come crashing down during an economic downturn. Everything she'd worked for, everything she'd sacrificed for, gone in a matter of months. Most people would have been devastated. Most people would have given up. But Sarah understood patterns. She knew that this was just a winter season, and winter seasons don't last forever. Instead of wallowing in self-pity, she used this time to reflect, to learn, to prepare for the next season. She acquired new skills. She built new relationships. She refined her business model. When the economy turned around, Sarah was ready. She launched a new business that was twice as successful as her first one. Why? Because she understood the pattern. She knew that difficulties are not permanent. They're preparatory. How do you respond when difficulties come your way? Do you see them as punishments, or do you see them as preparation? Do you focus on what you're losing, or do you focus on what you're learning? Your perspective determines your power. If you see difficulties as obstacles, they will stop you. If you see them as opportunities, they will strengthen you. Here's a truth that has transformed my life. Everything happens for a reason and a purpose, and it serves you everything. The challenge is to find the lesson, find the gift in every situation. That job you lost, perhaps it was pushing you toward the business you were meant to start. That relationship that ended, perhaps it was making room for someone who aligns better with your values. That failure that embarrassed you, perhaps it was teaching you the very lesson you needed to learn to achieve lasting success. What if nothing in your life was wasted? What if every experience, good or bad, was preparing you for something greater? How would that change the way you view your past? How would that change the way you approach your future? The difference between successful people and unsuccessful people often comes down to how they interpret events. Unsuccessful people see difficulties as evidence that they're on the wrong path. Successful people see difficulties as evidence that they're being prepared for something greater. It's all in the interpretation. It's all in the meaning you assign to events. Now let's talk about opportunity. Just like difficulties, opportunities follow patterns. They come to those who are prepared. They flow to those who have developed the capacity to recognize and seize them. Most people miss opportunities because they're looking for something dramatic, something that announces itself with flashing lights and sirens. But real opportunities often come disguised as small moments, subtle shifts, quiet openings. The opportunity to build a relationship with someone who can later become a key business partner. The opportunity to learn a new skill that will become invaluable in the future. The opportunity to demonstrate your character when no one seems to be watching. These moments are happening all around you, every day. The question is, are you noticing them? Are you prepared to seize them when they appear? Preparation meets opportunity. That's the formula for what most people call luck. And preparation isn't something that happens overnight. It's a daily discipline. It's the small things you do consistently that build your capacity over time. Reading books that expand your mind, developing skills that increase your value, building relationships based on giving rather than taking, managing your resources wisely so you have margin when opportunities arise. These daily disciplines create a foundation that allows you to recognize and capitalize on opportunities when they appear. Consider this. What daily disciplines are you practicing right now that are preparing you for future opportunities? What seeds are you planting today that will grow into tomorrow's harvest? Remember, the patterns of life are predictable. What you sow, you reap. What you practice, you become. What you focus on expands. These aren't just nice sayings. They're laws as real as gravity. They operate whether you believe in them or not, whether you understand them or not. The good news is that once you understand these patterns, you can work with them instead of against them. You can align yourself with these natural laws instead of fighting them. And when you do, everything becomes easier. Progress becomes more consistent. Success becomes more predictable. But there's a catch. You must take responsibility for your role in these patterns. You must recognize that you are the common denominator in all your experiences. You are the one constant in all your results. This is both empowering and challenging. It's empowering because it means you have more control than you think. It's challenging because it means you have more responsibility than you might want to accept. Most people prefer to believe that life is happening to them. It's easier that way. It absolves them of responsibility. If life is happening to you, then you're not accountable. If circumstances determine your destiny, then you're off the hook. But is that really what you want? Do you really want to be a passenger in your own life? Do you really want your future to be determined by forces outside your control? I don't think you do. I think there's something within you, something powerful, something resilient that knows you were meant for more. You were meant to be the author of your story, not just a character in someone else's narrative. Taking responsibility doesn't mean blaming yourself for everything that's happened in your past. It means empowering yourself to create a different future. It means recognizing that while you can't control everything that happens to you, you can always control how you respond. And that response is everything. That response determines whether difficulties strengthen you or break you. That response determines whether opportunities advance you or pass you by. That response determines whether you stay on the wrong path or find the courage to forge a new one. So let me ask you, what path are you on right now? Is it taking you where you truly want to go, or have you been following a path that someone else laid out for you? A path of social conditioning, of limited thinking, of playing small. Because here's the truth. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need redirecting. You need to find the path that aligns with who you truly are and what you truly want. And finding that path begins with taking responsibility, complete, total, uncompromising responsibility for your life as it is right now. Not with blame, not with judgment, but with the empowering realization that if you created your current reality, you can create a new one. The patterns are there. The principles are waiting. The power is within you. Will you take responsibility? Will you recognize the patterns? Will you align yourself with these natural laws? Because when you do, everything changes. When you understand that you're not broken, you're just on the wrong path, you give yourself permission to change direction. You free yourself from the weight of past mistakes. You open yourself to new possibilities. And that's when the real journey begins. That's when you start creating a life by design, not by default. That's when you become the architect of your destiny, not just a product of your history. And that's when you become the architect of your destiny, not just a product of your history. But here's the uncomfortable truth many won't tell you. The biggest obstacle standing between you and that destiny isn't out there somewhere. It's right between your ears. It's the silent saboteur that whispers excuses when opportunities arise. It's the sass tomorrow when success demands today. It's the part of you that's become comfortable with mediocrity. Self-sabotage is the invisible barrier that keeps most people stuck on the wrong path their entire lives. They don't recognize it because it disguises itself as reasonable caution, as protection, as common sense. But make no mistake, it's the enemy of your potential. What does self-sabotage look like in your life? Does it show up as procrastination, always pushing important actions to some mystical future date? Does it manifest as the perfectionism that prevents you from starting until conditions are ideal? Or perhaps it appears as the comfort addiction that keeps you trapped in situations you've outgrown. I've worked with thousands of people across every walk of life, and I've noticed that self-sabotage typically follows predictable patterns. Let me share the 5 most common forms so you can identify which ones might be operating in your life right now. The first is excuse making. This is the habit of finding reasons why you can't rather than ways that you can. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough money. I don't have the right connections. These statements might sound rational, but they're almost always rooted in fear. Think about it. Have you ever noticed how creative people become when finding reasons to avoid taking action? They'll spend more energy constructing elaborate excuses than it would take to simply do the work. And they'll defend these excuses passionately because they provide the illusion of justification. But here's what successful people understand. Excuses are just well-packaged lies we tell ourselves to avoid facing our fears. Every time you make an excuse, you're choosing comfort over growth, security over possibility, the known over the unknown. Ask yourself, what excuses have become such a natural part of your thinking that you don't even recognize them anymore? What stories have you been telling yourself for so long that you've begun to believe they're unchangeable facts? The second form of self-sabotage is comparison. This is the tendency to measure your insides against everyone else's outsides. You look at someone's achievements without seeing their struggles. You focus on what others have that you lack, rather than leveraging what makes you unique. Comparison is particularly dangerous because it's so pervasive. We're constantly bombarded with carefully curated images of success that rarely show the full picture. And when you compare your beginning to someone else's middle, you're setting yourself up for discouragement. Remember this: your only real competition is the person you were yesterday. Your only meaningful comparison is whether you're moving closer to or further from your own potential. Everything else is just distraction. The third saboteur is negative self-talk. This is the critical inner that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not deserving enough. It's the that catalogs your failures while dismissing your successes. It's the that magnifies your weaknesses while minimizing your strength. Most people don't recognize how powerful this inner dialogue really is. Your mind believes what you tell it. If you constantly feed it messages of limitation and inadequacy, it will create a reality that matches those beliefs. Your thoughts quite literally become things. How do you speak to yourself when no one else is listening? Would you talk to someone you love the way you talk to yourself? If not, it's time to change that inner conversation, because I promise you this: you will never outperform your self-image. You will never rise higher than your own expectations. The fourth form of self-sabotage is what I call someday syndrome. This is the belief that your real life, your best life, is waiting for you somewhere in the future. When you get the promotion, when you lose the weight, when you find the relationship, when you make the money. This mindset turns life into a perpetual waiting game. It robs today of its power and possibility. It creates a conditional existence where happiness and fulfillment are always just around the next corner, never in the present moment. But here's the truth: there is no someday. There is only today. And whatever patterns you're practicing today are creating the life you'll be living tomorrow. The fifth, and perhaps most insidious form of self-sabotage, is fear of failure. This is the paralysis that sets in when you contemplate stepping outside your comfort zone. It's the T: what if I try and fail? What will others think? What will I think about myself? What most people don't realize is that failure isn't the opposite of success. It's part of success. Every significant achievement in history was preceded by multiple failures. Edison's light bulb, Ford's automobile, Einstein's theories, all emerged after countless setbacks and revisions. The question isn't whether you'll fail, you will. The question is whether you'll use those failures as stepping stones or stumbling blocks, whether you'll let them defeat you or develop you. Now contrast these self-sabotaging patterns with the mentality of truly successful people. What do they do differently? First, they take absolute ownership. Where average people say that's just how things are, successful people ask, how can I make things different? Where average people focus on what they can't control, successful people maximize what they can control. I remember talking with a notable entrepreneur who lost everything in a market crash. When I asked how he was coping, he said something I'll never forget: I'm responsible for what happened, which means I'm also responsible for what happens next. Within 18 months, he had built a new business that surpassed his previous success. That's ownership mentality. It's the understanding that while you can't control every circumstance, you can always control your response to those circumstances. And that response is where your true power lies. Second, successful people embrace discomfort. They understand that growth happens at the edge of your comfort zone, not within it. They're willing to endure temporary pain for long-term gain. They recognize that the things most worth having in life usually lie on the other side of difficulty. Average people structure their lives around comfort. Successful people structure their lives around growth. Average people ask, will this be easy? Successful people ask, will this make me better? Which questions are you asking in your daily life? Are you choosing what's comfortable or what's necessary? Are you avoiding pain or using it as fuel? Third, successful people maintain unwavering focus. In a world filled with distractions, they have the rare ability to identify what matters most and eliminate everything else. They understand that success doesn't come from doing 100 things adequately. It comes from doing a few things exceptionally well. Average people spread themselves thin, chasing multiple opportunities simultaneously. Successful people go an inch wide and a mile deep. They master the fundamentals. They develop expertise. They build on strengths rather than fixing weaknesses. What are you focusing on right now? Have you identified the vital few actions that will move you forward? Or are you scattered across too many priorities? Remember, where your attention goes, your results flow. Fourth, successful people delay gratification. They understand that most worthwhile achievements require sacrificing what you want now for what you want most. They're willing to live a few years of their life like most people won't, so they can spend the rest of their life like most people can't. Average people make decisions based on immediate pleasure. Successful people make decisions based on long-term principles. Average people pursue what feels good. Successful people pursue what creates good. How are you handling the tension between short-term desires and long-term goals? Are you trading tomorrow's possibilities for today's comforts? Or are you investing today's efforts for tomorrow's rewards? Finally, successful people maintain perspective during difficulties. They understand that obstacles are not stop signs, they're guidelines. Setbacks are not permanent, they're temporary. Failures are not final, they're instructional. Average people see problems as punishment. Successful people see problems as preparation. Average people ask, why is this happening to me? Successful people ask, what is this teaching me? Which perspective do you take when facing challenges? Do you view them as evidence that you should quit, or as opportunities to grow stronger? Now let's talk about how to break through these self-sabotaging patterns and find your true path. The first step is awareness. You can't change what you don't acknowledge. Take an honest inventory of your behaviors, beliefs, and results. Where are you getting in your own way? What excuses have become habits? What fears are disguising themselves as reasonable concerns? This kind of self-examination requires courage. It means looking at yourself without filters or justification. It means being willing to see the truth, even when the truth is uncomfortable. I recommend setting aside 30 minutes with a journal. Write down your current results in key areas of your life, your health, relationships, finances, career, personal growth. Then ask yourself, are these the results I truly want? If not, what patterns am I practicing that are creating these outcomes? Be specific, be honest, be thorough, because awareness is where transformation begins. The second step is accountability. This means taking full responsibility for where you are and where you're going. It means stopping the blame game. Whether you're blaming others, circumstances, or even yourself. Blame is backward-looking. Accountability is forward-looking. Blame asks who's at fault. Accountability asks what's next. Blame dwells on problems. Accountability focuses on solutions. Find someone who will hold you accountable. Someone who cares enough to be honest with you. Someone who won't accept your excuses. Someone who will remind you of your commitments when you're tempted to abandon them. True accountability isn't about punishment. It's about support. It's about having someone in your corner who believes in your potential, even when you've temporarily forgotten it. The third step is action, not just any action. Consistent, focused, intentional action. Small steps taken daily that align with your true path. Most people overestimate what they can achieve in a day and underestimate what they can achieve in a year. They swing between overambition and disappointment. They start strong but fade quickly. The key is finding sustainable actions, things you can do consistently over time, because consistency beats intensity every single time. The person who walks a mile every day will outperform the person who runs 5 miles once a month. What small actions could you take daily that would move you in the right direction? What one habit, if practiced consistently, would create the most positive change in your life? Remember, progress isn't about perfection. It's about direction. You don't need to get it right every time. You just need to get it right more often than you get it wrong. The fourth step is adjustment. This is the willingness to evaluate your results and make necessary changes. It's the flexibility to try different approaches when your current approach isn't working. Too many people confuse persistence with stubbornness. Persistence means maintaining your goal while being flexible about your methods. Stubbornness means maintaining both your goal and your methods, even when those methods aren't producing results. Successful people are relentlessly committed to their destination, but completely flexible about their route. They're willing to pivot, adjust, recalibrate, whatever it takes to keep moving forward. How adaptable are you when facing obstacles? Do you keep trying the same approach expecting different results? Or do you maintain your vision while exploring new pathways? The fifth and final step is alignment. This means ensuring that your daily actions, your core values, and your ultimate vision are all pointing in the same direction. Most people live fragmented lives. Their actions contradict their values. Their short-term behaviors undermine their long-term goals. They say health is important but neglect sleep and nutrition. They claim relationships matter but don't invest time in the people they love. Alignment creates power. When what you do matches what you believe and what you want, you create momentum. You eliminate the inner conflict that drains energy and impedes progress. Take a moment to consider, are your daily habits aligned with your deepest values? Are your current investments of time, energy, and resources taking you closer to or further from your vision? True alignment isn't about perfection. It's about intention. It's about making conscious choices rather than drifting through life on autopilot. Now, as you work through these steps, be prepared for resistance. Your old patterns won't go down without a fight. Your comfort zone will try to pull you back. The people around you may question or criticize your changes. This is normal. This is expected. This is part of the process. Remember, every time you stretch beyond your current limitations, you'll feel discomfort. Every time you choose growth over security, you'll feel uncertainty. Every time you pursue excellence rather than accepting mediocrity, you'll face resistance, both internal and external. The question isn't whether these challenges will come. They will. The question is how you'll respond when they do. Will you retreat to familiar territory, or will you push through, knowing that transformation happens precisely at the point where resistance is strongest? Because here's what I know about you. You have untapped potential within you. You have greatness that's waiting to be expressed. You have gifts, talents, and abilities that the world needs. You're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need to find your true path, the path that aligns with who you really are and what you're really capable of becoming. And that path begins with breaking through the self-sabotage that's been holding you back. It starts with replacing limiting patterns with empowering ones. It begins with choosing possibility over fear, growth over comfort, accountability over excuses. And that path begins with breaking through the self-sabotage that's been holding you back. It starts with replacing limiting patterns with empowering ones. It begins with choosing possibility over fear, growth over comfort, accountability over excuses. So how do you actually build this new path? Because awareness without action is meaningless. Intention without implementation creates nothing. Knowledge without application has no power. The true secret to transformation lies in your daily disciplines. Those small, consistent actions that compounded over time create extraordinary results. Success isn't complicated. It isn't mysterious. It's simple. But simple doesn't mean easy. Every significant achievement in history has been built through the compound effect of daily disciplines. Every fortune began with a single dollar saved. Every skill mastered started with a first awkward attempt. Every relationship strengthened began with one authentic conversation. Greatness is never achieved overnight. It's built in moments too small to notice, too insignificant to celebrate. It's built when no one is watching, when the spotlight is off, when the motivation has faded. That's why most people miss it. They're looking for the breakthrough moment, the overnight success, the lucky break. They don't see the thousands of small, consistent actions that created the conditions for that sudden achievement. I want to share with you the 7 core daily disciplines that, if practiced consistently, will completely transform your life within 12 months. These aren't complicated. They don't require special talents or advantages. They simply require commitment, the willingness to do them whether you feel like it or not. The first daily discipline is purposeful planning. This means beginning each day with intention rather than reaction. Most people wake up and immediately respond to whatever demands their attention: emails, messages, news. They start their day in response mode and they stay there. Successful people begin their day by designing it. They take control of their time before anyone else can. They identify their most important tasks, the ones that will move them closer to their goals, and they schedule those tasks before anything else. This doesn't need to be complicated. Spend 10 minutes each morning asking 3 questions. What are my 3 most important actions today? When will I complete each one? What obstacles might prevent me from completing them? And how will I overcome those obstacles? These 10 minutes will completely transform your productivity. They will ensure that what matters most never falls victim to what matters least. They will prevent the urgent from crowding out the important. Are you currently planning your days? Or are you simply reacting to whatever comes your way? Are you deciding what deserves your attention? Or are you letting others decide for you? The second daily discipline is continuous learning. This is the commitment to grow intellectually every single day. The average person stops learning after formal education. They might occasionally read an article or watch a video, but they have no systematic approach to developing their mind. Successful people are perpetual students. They read voraciously. They seek out mentors. They extract lessons from every experience. They understand that in a rapidly changing world, the only security comes from the ability to learn and adapt. Commit to reading 30 minutes every day. That's just 0.5% of your day. Yet over the course of a year, that small commitment will allow you to read 20 to 30 books. Think about the knowledge, the insights, the perspectives you'll gain. Think about how that will compound over 5 years, 10 years, a lifetime. What are you currently learning? What books are you reading? What skills are you developing? Remember, formal education will make you a living, but self-education will make you a fortune. The third daily discipline is physical excellence. This means treating your body as the foundation upon which everything else is built. Your health isn't just one area of your life. It affects every other area. Your energy, your focus, your emotional resilience, your mental clarity, all are directly influenced by how you treat your physical body. Commit to 30 minutes of movement every day. It doesn't matter what form this takes. Walking, running, weight training, yoga. What matters is consistency. Regular movement improves blood flow to the brain, reduces stress hormones, increases energy, and enhances mood. Combine this with proper nutrition and adequate sleep, and you create a physical foundation that can support your highest ambitions. Neglect this foundation, and everything else becomes more difficult. How are you currently treating your body? Are you providing it with the fuel, movement, and rest it needs to perform at its best? Or are you creating a physical deficit that undermines your other efforts? The fourth daily discipline is relationship investment. This means intentionally strengthening your connections with others every day. Success is never achieved in isolation. It's built through collaboration, through support, through the exchange of ideas and resources. Yet most people take their relationships for granted. They assume the important people in their lives will always be there, regardless of how they're treated. They focus on quantity of connections rather than quality. They neglect the very relationships that could provide the support, insights, and opportunities they need. Make it a daily practice to strengthen at least one relationship. Send a thoughtful message. Make a call just to listen. Express sincere appreciation. Offer help without being asked. These small actions repeated consistently create relationship capital that pays dividends for a lifetime. Who are the 5 people you spend the most time with? Are they lifting you up or pulling you down? Are they supporting your growth or reinforcing your limitations? Remember, you become the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. Choose wisely. The fifth daily discipline is financial responsibility. This means taking consistent actions that build your financial foundation. Money itself may not be the most important thing in life, but it affects almost everything that is important. Your ability to take care of your health, provide for your family, contribute to causes you care about, and pursue opportunities that matter to you. Most people have no systematic approach to building wealth. They spend first and save what's left. Rather than saving first and spending what's left, they focus on consumption rather than production. They confuse standard of living with quality of life. Commit to putting aside a percentage of every dollar you earn before you spend on anything else. Start with just 1% if you must. But start. Automate this process so it happens without requiring your discipline. Then increase that percentage gradually as your income grows. Simultaneously, look for ways to increase your value in the marketplace. Develop skills that solve expensive problems. Create products or services that serve others. Build assets that generate passive income while you sleep. What actions are you taking daily to build your financial future? Are you mastering the art of spending less than you earn and investing the difference? Are you developing your ability to create value for others? The sixth daily discipline is mindset management. This means consciously directing your thoughts rather than being controlled by them. Your thoughts create your feelings. Your feelings drive your actions. Your actions determine your results. Therefore, if you want to change your results, you must start by changing your thoughts. Most people have abdicating responsibility for their mental state. They allow circumstances, other people, or random inputs to determine what they think about and how they feel. They've never developed the mental muscles needed to direct their focus. Make it a daily practice to feed your mind with empowering inputs. Start your day with positive, instructive material rather than negative news. Regularly express gratitude for what's going well in your life. Challenge negative thoughts by asking, is this really true? Is focusing on this helpful? What would be a more empowering perspective? How are you currently managing your mindset? Are you intentionally feeding your mind constructive inputs, or are you allowing it to be influenced by whatever happens to cross your path? Remember, your life moves in the direction of your strongest thoughts. The seventh and final daily discipline is contribution. This means actively finding ways to add value to others' lives every single day. Success without significance is hollow. Achievement without positive impact is empty. Material success alone will never satisfy the human need for meaning. Most people approach life with a primarily self-focused orientation. They ask, what can I get, rather than what can I give? They see contribution as something to do after they've achieved success, rather than as the very path to meaningful success. Make it a daily practice to contribute in some way through your time, your talents, your resources, your encouragement, your example. Look for opportunities to solve problems, meet needs, answer questions, provide support. These don't need to be grand gestures. Small acts of service, performed consistently, create enormous impact over time. How are you currently contributing to others? Are you focused primarily on what you can get or what you can give? Remember, the secret to living is giving. The more value you create for others, the more value returns to you, often in unexpected ways and from unexpected sources. Now, as you consider these 7 daily disciplines, you might feel overwhelmed. You might be thinking, that's a lot to implement all at once. You're right. Don't try to master all 7 simultaneously. Start with 1. Practice it until it becomes automatic. Then add another. Build momentum gradually. Remember, these disciplines are meant to liberate you, not burden you. They're the vehicle that carries you to your goals, not the chains that bind you to rigid rules. Approach them with excitement rather than obligation. See them as opportunities rather than impositions. And when you inevitably miss a day, when life gets chaotic or willpower fails, don't waste energy on guilt or self-criticism. Simply recommit the next day. Consistency isn't about perfection. It's about returning to the path when you stray from it. The power of daily disciplines lies not in any single day, but in their cumulative effect over time. One day of reading won't make you wise. One day of saving won't make you wealthy. One day of exercise won't make you healthy. But consistent practice, compounded over months and years, creates transformation that appears miraculous to outside observers. Think about where you could be 1 year from today if you committed to these disciplines. Think about how your health could transform, how your relationships could deepen, how your finances could improve, how your skills could develop, how your contribution could expand. Now think about where you could be 5 years from today, 10 years, a lifetime. The gap between who you are and who you could become is bridged by your daily disciplines. Nothing more, nothing less. I want to share a story that illustrates this principle perfectly. There were 2 friends, both starting out in the same industry, with similar education, similar opportunities, similar talents. Let's call them Michael and Robert. Michael approached his career with sporadic intensity. When motivation struck or deadlines loomed, he would work incredibly hard, putting in 18-hour days, skipping meals, sacrificing sleep. Between these bursts of activity, he would rest, recover, and wait for the next wave of inspiration or pressure. Robert took a different approach. He identified the key activities in his field that created results, and he performed them every day, without fail, regardless of how he felt. He read industry publications for 30 minutes each morning. He made 5 outreach calls every day before noon. He wrote for an hour every evening, developing his ideas and perspective. After 1 year, their results were similar enough that the difference wasn't noticeable. After 3 years, Robert was outperforming Michael, but not dramatically. After 5 years, the gap was unmistakable. After 10 years, it was staggering. What happened? The compound effect of daily disciplines. Robert wasn't doing anything extraordinary on any given day. He wasn't working 18-hour shifts or making dramatic sacrifices. He was simply doing the ordinary things consistently, day after day, week after week, month after month, year after year. That's the secret. Ordinary things, done consistently, produce extraordinary results. So ask yourself, what path are you on right now? Is it taking you toward the life you truly want? Is it aligned with who you really are and what you're really capable of? Or have you been following a path of least resistance, of comfortable mediocrity, of unfulfilled potential? Because you're not broken. You don't need fixing. You just need redirecting. You need to find your true path and follow it with daily disciplines that move you forward consistently. The choice is yours. It always has been. You can continue on the path you're on, or you can forge a new one. You can accept your current limitations, or you can transcend them. You can settle for what's convenient, or you can strive for what's possible. Starting today, right now, you can begin building a new path through daily disciplines. You can begin the process of transformation that will unlock your greatest potential. You can begin creating a life of purpose, passion, and profound satisfaction. The time for waiting is over. The time for excuses is past. The time for action is now. Because you're not broken. You're just following the wrong path. And today, this very moment, you can choose to follow a new one.